So failure in South Africa, if you fail, people will discard you and you're not likely to get funding ever again. It's not like that all over the world, though, Allon Raiz. South Africa is a particularly brutal place to get started in business.
Yeah. So if you talk about this, we talk about the re-entry rate. In other words, the ability of an entrepreneur to fail and come back again. Well, not the ability, but also the desire. South Africa, according to one research piece, has a 1.1 times re-entry rate. In other words, you fail once and effectively you don't come back again. The US is on average 3.6 times that you fail. So you almost 4 times you fail and then you stop.
But is that because there's just not enough capital in South Africa to keep throwing at bad ideas? Whereas in the United States, lots more money, far more investors with risk capital in play, and they can take more bets on individuals rather than on ideas.
I don't think it's that. I think it's a cultural thing. I think it's a structural and a cultural thing. So for me, there is a shame around failure, and think about our language, shame. There's a professor, Diane Francis, she's Canadian, works in America, and her whole thinking was that there's 2 types of cultural bases. One is shame-based societies and fear-based societies. America being a fear-based society, and basically the Commonwealth being a shame-based society. And Canada, being part of the Commonwealth, she could starkly see the difference around entrepreneurship. In a shame-based society, it's shameful to fail. In a fear-based society, we fear to fail, but then we can come back again. So no one shames us. And in South Africa, as I said before, shame, man, that's a big part of our culture. So it's shameful to our family, it's shameful with our friends, it's shameful to the banks, etc. So it's not just a structural problem, it's also a cultural problem.
I mean, we're taught from early, I mean, if you go to a half-decent school, there's a market day, and you're taught, go and buy something and then come and sell it to your friends, and they teach you about things like markups and profit, and it's really great. And some kids blow that. I mean, are they destroyed right from the start?
Just we've banned market day the way that...
You run a school for entrepreneurs and you've banned...
Market day the way that it's done in every other school. Because to me, the way that market day is run in schools effectively destroys your understanding of entrepreneurship. Because our experience of it is that mom and dad really buy all the product. That's really what happens. The most popular kids actually sell the most product. All the profit goes to the school. Okay, and none of that actually follows any level of reality. You know, you would have to manufacture or buy the product. You would compete based on difference, and you would keep the profit if there was any. So the construct of market day is really, I think, just another form of fundraising for schools, just under the pretext of but
surely you must do some sort of role play within the school environment. How do you do it?
Yeah, so we do. It's as I said, it's in every subject. There's a lot of simulation. We also have a boardroom, and this is another interesting thing, that most kids, when they come out of school, have never understood how boardroom works. The etiquette of a boardroom, where you sit, who sits where, the power structures of a boardroom. And so one of the classes that they have every single week is in a boardroom, where they actually have their lesson in the boardroom, so they're used to the boardroom when they get out. A lot of what we do is simulating the future so that they get a great sense of the future and what it really will be like.
What is that? It's like a circular raised stage covered in astroturf in all the classes. As I've gone around, I've seen these weird it doesn't look very comfortable to sit on, so it's not that.
It's called a pitch patch. It comes from our Raiz Corp journey, and in every single class we have this raised platform with some astroturf, as you say, and before every class the kids are randomly pulled up and they have to talk about something. And this comes from our deep understanding that the more you are standing up in front of people, the more it builds your confidence. And by the time you leave matric, you have stood up in front of people on that raised platform. It's a very low-tech piece of technology, but it really, really works. The moment you are raised above, something happens, and you'll feel shy and you'll feel exposed. The more you do that, the more confident you become.
But we used to call that oral.
Yes.
You would go away, you'd be saying, okay, today's oral and your subject is shoelaces.
Yes.
And you'd have to go and make up a story about shoelaces and present it with authority and conviction to the class. So that's what it is, isn't
Except
it?
on a raised platform, and it relates to some entrepreneurial element in your class.
And that is the sort of basis of everything that we see from the TV shows, whether it be Shark Tank, whether it be Dragon's Den, for example. The ability of the individual with the great idea to sell that idea is as important as the idea itself. I mean, I wonder how many great ideas have died a death simply because the individual couldn't present those ideas coherently.
You've touched on something so important, the sales ability, and this is something we are starting to now introduce slowly into Radley, is the ability to sell. Selling is one of the key success factors of any entrepreneur. If you look at the history of successful entrepreneurs, the basis is that not only the value proposition, but the entrepreneur's ability to articulate that in a way that the market understood and wanted it. So that's sales. And we have to teach kids from a young age how to sell, not to smose, to sell value. And that's a big difference between the two.
What is the difference between smosing and selling value?
To me, one is about a now, and one is about a long relationship with that individual. If I smose you something, to me the connotation is I'm just going to make a quick profit. Where selling to me is a long-term view of our relationships. I'll sell it to you once, you'll get the value. I'll come back next year and say, do you want to buy it again? That is sales.
And those relationships, business is about relationships, and long-term relationships underpin successful conglomerates of today.
Yes, and that is a very important factor as well. So when we look, you look at these fancy schools, and really what the essence is it's about network, right? It's about not just the parents' network, but also that you'll grow up in a certain network. Maybe it's spoken about, maybe it's not, but it's there. Then you've got the what you know, so that's who you know. Then you've got the what you know, which is what we're supposed to do at school, is to learn some stuff. But the most important thing for us is knowing yourself. So personal development is a huge part of our curriculum, about knowing yourself and learning throughout your journey from grade 0 to 12 about who you are in the world.
Traditional education beats the precociousness, the ambition, the individuality out of kids. I'm used to beat, now it just works it out. You encourage kids to be, and in the most positive sense of the word, precocious. Be ambitious, be gutsy, be prepared to be out there and to stand on your own 2 feet.
To stand up, stand out, exactly that. It's about standing up, standing out, speaking your truth, personal truth, speaking in front of other people. It's about you getting out there. Whereas the school that I grew up in was about keep quiet, keep in the corner, speak when you're spoken to. This is not that. That
schooling system failed you terribly, didn't it? And aren't you glad it did?
That schooling system didn't make me who I am. It was the marinade around me, the environment around me that did.
But the point is, you can create a marinade in which to steep kids to shape their minds for a future, because corporates are not the future. I mean, particularly in a place like this where we need problem solvers and people who are going to change outcomes for decades ahead.
Small, scalable businesses that are global are the future. And you can start a small, scalable business from anywhere. You don't have to go and join a corporate. You can start your own business, but you have to understand how to do it, when to do it, and what are the right conditions that will most likely provide you with the impetus to be successful.
Allon Raiz, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much. Allon Raiz is the founder, chief executive of Raiz Corp. Raiz Corp is the owner of the school, the Radley School in Randburg. You may have driven past and wondered, what on earth goes on behind that wall? You've just had an insight, creating a new generation of entrepreneurs in a society that so desperately needs the energy, innovation, individualism, the guts, the determination, the positivity, the outlook, and if you've got some capital, support for the future. Good night.